Hi, ladies and gentlemen, this is Eddie Marcus again. And as usual, I got good message I'd like to share with you. And so I caught this message at a moment when I didn't get a chance to look presentable, but as I am, I present myself to you. I want to tell you something about this world that you've always seen me complain about. I call this world hell. I don't know what other people call it, but I call it POD hell. And I'll tell you why. I keep thinking about the elections, politics here in the United States of America. I remember when Bill Clinton ran for president and became president, everybody loved him. Black people loved him. He had suaveness. He would play saxophone, had some soul. And so people were listening to him and with the decisions that he was making relative to our reception of what he was causing to happen for us. Either we were accepted it or were led by what he was saying because we trust him, whatever. Same conditions that existed before him continue to exist, but we still call him a good president. And after him, others came, and it was the same thing. And during that time when Bill Clinton, I mentioned this, ran for president the first time, I ran against him. And I ran against him because to me, Bill Clinton was okay guy, just like everybody else, but Bill Clinton had no solution to the problem. And I ended up having to run as a write-in because the people just could not digest what I was talking about. And even for those of you who are wondering, when Barack Obama ran for president of the United States, I ran against Barack for the same reason I ran against Bill Clinton. These wonderful people, nice guys, everybody love them, smile and say, hey, hey, hey. But when you get down to the real nitty gritty, the poverty, the pain and stuff that exists is going to continue to exist. Why? Because they knew not the solutions of the problem. Now, what makes you think that I know the solution? I'm going to tell you why. You might understand it when finished. If not, then there's still things that I've got to do. But you may or may not understand. The hope is that you will understand, and if you don't, hey, that's just what you have to go through. But here we are, ladies and gentlemen. When I started running for president of the United States, the reason that I wanted to run is because I did not accept any system on earth as being representative of the power that I understood. It didn't matter whether the United States, Russia, China, wherever you were on earth, you were still being controlled by the devil. That's what I perceived. And yes, I got caught up in it. I became a part of the devil's world. I did what everybody else does, and perhaps even to this date, I might be doing some of the things. But at least I got a message that I'm telling you about, and you can hold me to it if you desire. But when I ran for president, I didn't ask to raise any money to promote what I would say. Why? Because what I promoted, money came by, and you only will get if you deserve. And so when I presented it to you, if you deserved it, you could eat it up like you eat up those live Don Trump. But you didn't deserve it and you didn't touch it. I had to run as a write-in. 2 times with Barack, 2 times with Bill Clinton, George Bush, even when he was there, ran against him, the son. And the truth of the matter, now one time, did you see anything worth you putting your name on, putting your power behind in what I said? And so you kept on doing what you do until you got probably the worst guy that has been in office since I've been alive. That's what you deserve. That's where you kept going. Each time you kept turning your back on better, you chose worse. And so when I started, even then, in the beginning, 40 some years ago, I never asked anybody to join with me. I carried myself as love ministry, life of victory eternal for years. I changed it from that to the moment of truth. A few years passed by, I changed it from that to Paradise on Earth Unlimited. A few years after that, I changed it to Basic Human Rights for All People, to now. And I never asked you whether to join me because I know what it takes to win. And you don't. And when you found out what it would be, you would not be willing to pay it. This is why I understand that it is a development that each of you must come to before you can make that statement. And so I wouldn't ask you to hedge yourself or fraud yourself, whatever the word is. No, because you have to be willing to die for what you really want. You must be willing to die for what you really want. And for me to come out and say, help me do this, help me do that, you say, oh. And that's what you said when I ran for office and you reneged on it. But let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to be able to tell you about what I've been saying to you in such a way that you might understand. And what I've been given to say is this: if you will, let's imagine with me, if you will, you took all the humans, not the ones that's already living. Let's just say you sit aside, you just watch. You just watch. But I want you to imagine that for the next 1 billion babies, for the next 1 billion babies that come on this earth, all over the earth, they're born everywhere men and women are. 1 billion of them. Imagine this. Now, you sit them like in a section separate from you who are watching because you're to observe. And before they go out into the world, these 1 billion are just new births. And just for um, this particular analogy, let's assume that each of them at least 10 years old. At least 10 years old. Okay? There's a lot of stuff happened between birth and 10, but let's just say 10 years old. Or 12, whatever you want to think. Now, before they go off into the world, they have a thing set before them, a world of choice that allows them at least two of them. One of the choices would be hell, one of them would be heaven. Or we might say one would be death and one might be life. Or one might be, you fill in whatever you want it to be. But what it is, it's totally opposite one another. And so that is put before you, this 1 billion children that's going to go off into the world. And they have choice, one or the other. One or the other. And when they go off into this world, they determine, and I'm not even talking about the roads that you have said before them that they have some kind of structure, they have to determine which way they want to go. Now, for those of you who are watching, I want you to understand when they go off into the world like that, when they go off into the wilderness like that, that is similar to the birth process. You know, your mama get pregnant and you in there and you got to go through the stage. Well, the thing that they go through in this wilderness that they have been put into, with those choices available before them, learning by action, choosing by results, and responding to what is real to them. They are developing a way in this womb through this wilderness. And what is the purpose? The purpose is to create a full child. Isn't that why you're in your mother's womb? To create a healthy child, one that's ready to pop out on a given date into the world, being introduced to all that exists, right? Okay. And this is what happens. This is truly what happens. Now, here we are, ladies and gentlemen. We're still watching this birth process with the 1 billion in the wilderness, struggling, developing. Pain might be, suffering might be, whatever has to go on in that wilderness is going on in that wilderness for them to help them make up a choice, a acceptable choice for them that would allow them to come out on the other side satisfied. That's what they do in your mother's womb. That's what you're doing in the wilderness, to come out on the other side. Now, you have heard it said that you must be born again. You come here in this world, all of you who are when watching now, you have heard that you must be born again. Just like you come out of your mother's womb, you must be born again, they say. But they misled you and gotten you to believe that being born again means that you accepted a form of beliefs that you say meant something to you, but they really didn't because they never really changed anything. And yet it allows some of you to express a part of something that's different to make you think that you represented the goodness. And so that you really represented what being born again, not of the flesh, but born of the spirit. That's where you're deceived. You're still flesh. You're still thinking of fleshly things. Everything that you know about is of the flesh. You know nothing else but flesh. But somebody said that if you choose one, it might keep you in the flesh or worse. But if you choose the other, it'll take you to a place you've never been, heaven, if that's your choice. So when you come out on the other side, out of the wilderness, ladies and gentlemen, you are going through that last stage. I don't know what they call it, but this is when you finna pop out of the womb, just like you popped out of your mama's body. Now you finna pop out of into the wilderness, out of the wilderness. And popping into what's on the other side of the wilderness is the beginning of your life. Because if you're on the one that says on the one that says crime, violence, hatred, stealing, lying, cheating, hatred, racism, bigotry, death, murder, and all that kind of stuff, that's what you're going to be introduced to. And that's what we as people on earth today have been introduced to. The same old hell that you're going to come out into on the other side of the wilderness. If you don't change and get on the other side, you're going to come out just like you are, but you're going to be worse. But if you choose the other side that represents peace, prosperity, freedom, joy, and happiness, satisfaction, fulfillment, and to get a chance to live the life with your needs, your wants, and your dreams being met, suffering for nothing, not food or anything that's made by the hands of man, and living in peace and never worrying about a thing. No lying, no cheating, no killing. Baby, that's what they call heaven. So that means when we come out of the wilderness, when we've gone, let me put it to you this way. When you die, that's when it's going to happen. Now, this is why we say martyr. See, one that has awakened in this physical life, who understands the message by whatever the reason might be, but they understand, then they stand up, they don't wait. Their wilderness is taking place right now. And really everybody's wilderness is taking place right now. But the ones that make the choice for heavenliness, they know that in order to represent heavenliness, they got to be born again. And in order to be born again, they got to be martyrs. See, because if they are not martyred and they have the effect of what they represent here on the earth will change. This won't be hell anymore. This will be heaven right here on earth, that we, by using the choices that represent heaven, would have created heaven. We would have done that by the spirit of the power that created us all. But not having that available to us, or not knowing that we have that available to us, we go through what we go through. And those who say, I'm not going to stand for killing babies in wars. I'm not going to stand for building guns to murder old people. I'm not going to stand for people being homeless. I'm not going to stand for some people being billionaires and millionaires and trillionaires while other folks living on the street. I'm not going to stand for that. And it can go to hell before I stand for it. And you stand up and you say exactly what I'm saying. And the world will hear you for what you're saying. They'll understand you for what you're saying because you're telling the darn truth. But don't stop there. Tell them if they want to live that heavenly life, they got to be able to give this thing up. They got to tell this life to go to hell and represent another life. Now, that's the absolute truth, ladies and gentlemen. And the reason we're constantly going through this hell on earth is because we've been misled. And anybody that think that you are awakened, we will know it because your life will be on the line every day. You will have to put yourself in a martyrdom position because that's what it represents. And being born again means that you're changing from the physical to the spirit. And the spirit means that your butt change. I mean, really change. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you got something out of that. I just wanted to share it with you. It meant so much to me, coming so clear to me this morning, that I just couldn't be still unless I was able to do it for you. And I hope it means a lot to the world because God is God. And I want to thank you again. Once again, Eddie Marcus saying goodbye for now.